Welcome to Straight Talk with your host, Patti Foster.
This will be my third interview with Rosa Blum. As you eat your blueberry jam on your fresh homemade bread, I've heard you talk about how they would put drugs on some of the food in the kitchen, and you didn't know it, and the Germans would do that. What effect did these have on the prisoners in the concentration camps? What did you see?
There's very little I can say what I have seen.
Yes.
We were so busy working. When I worked in the kitchen, it was very hard work. I was very young. I was 15 years old, and I had to do the work for a young person. I was not selected to work in the kitchen, but I got in the kitchen by a woman exchanging herself because she wanted to go. She had a sister, and she didn't want to leave her sister, so she threw the rope on me. And I caught the rope, and I didn't want to run away because that would meant that I ran away from work. And I got beaten up once before for running away. He said I don't want to go to work when I was selected. So my lesson was learned that when you get a hold of a rope like that, you don't run away. I just put the rope on, tied it with another dress that I had on me, shortened the rope, because the woman that exchanged herself, she was big, tall, different than I was. She was a really kitchen girl, not me. I was a shrimp. And I got into the kitchen. I never worked in the kitchen before. I never been in the kitchen before. I walked in. I didn't even know what I'm going into. And I walked in, and out of nowhere I heard the voice that said, "Whoever had exchanged themselves, use your own name. Do not use the phony one. Use your own name and be registered under your own name." And I got registered under my own name. So, by receiving the number on my arm, we were 40,000 inmates in that camp. And there was only 300 that was tattooed. I was so lucky. I felt that now I have an identity, a name, a number. I'm a person again, not a number just. I was not between the 40,000. I was selected to be a worker. They may work me to death, but they won't kill me out straight. That's the reason it played for me to receive the number on my arm. I was so proud of that number. And so the German woman walked in, and when she walked in the kitchen, she looked at me and she says, "How old are you?" And without thinking hesitation, I said 18. I was only 15. But to work, I thought you had to be 18. So she didn't say nothing. She just shook her head and she walked away. And I thought to myself, how lucky you are, you escaped it. Next morning, she comes in and she asks, "Where is my 18-year-old one?" And I show up. I'm the 18-year-old one. She never called me by my name. She always called me the 18-year-old one. In some ways, I was used, but I didn't realize, and is it again, what I was, she did for me. She had me go in. She was carrying a necklace. On that necklace, there was a key that opened one door. That door, nobody was allowed to go in except she and me. I went in with her. In there was sex of 25 kilo, not pound, kilos. I make sure that they will know it's kilo, not pound. But it's equalizes close to 50 pounds in each sack. I had to take that powder out. And then they had two other women in there waiting for me. And they were each each container of food they had finished up, they were taken one partition out by 2.5, 3 pounds of powder into the food. The second girl mixed it in, and I was carrying the sack from container to container. When the first couple days when I did it, I was so proud of myself and so happy that the inmates have more food for nourishment for themselves. I was very, very happy. And I noticed that the older inmates there started laughing. The first day, they hid the laughing. The second day, they were a little less visible. The third day, they were just shaking their heads and letting me walk away. And I thought to myself, now what am I saying here, but I'm so happy for the people have more food, for the inmates, they're eating more food and they have more nourishment. What I'm doing wrong here? I'm doing something wrong and I don't know what. But nobody's talking. Everybody lets me go on. And it was very hard for me to ask. Nobody wanted to talk to me. I was only 15 years old. I was unliable and no way. And sudden, I started watching what this food is doing to people. If that's what they are laughing it, there must be some reaction. There's something wrong here. They didn't have to spell it out. I mean, I could see there's something wrong, but nobody talks to me. Nobody takes me into confidence or anything. I was unworthy of anything, and they were shaking their hands and walking away. Now that's even heard worse than when they just were laughing. And I set out to find out, oh God, what did this powder do? Unreal. Some people, after they had 2-3 spoonfuls of that, they didn't need no more. It made them cry. Some of them were running to the wires trying to commit suicide. Some of them were sleeping with it. It was a control powder without me realizing that that's what I was mixing into the food. For 6 months I did all that every morning. It hurt very bad because suddenly I realized there's nothing I could do or change it. I just had to go along with the whole thing. Sometimes we sabotaged a little bit of it, but not worth of anything to really call it sabotage. We couldn't completely sabotage it, but it did control the people. I mean, it was 40,000 people, the masses, that's how they were controlled.
So tell us again, how did you come to find out about the drug? How did you come to know about why they were shaking their head at you and they would not talk to you?
They didn't want to, they was not able to realize that I will be so tight-mouthed later on. It was very, very difficult for me to find out, but it took me by a week, 2 weeks before I find out everything that is happening, and suddenly I realized, because then some of them openly said it's controlling their brains. And that's when I really were able to put my finger on what kind of food we are feeding them.
Because you had no idea that the powder you were carrying in that sack was actually something to control their brains.
Right. That's what it was. And when I talk about it in the children, I don't use anything else but powder.
Talk to us about some of the long-lasting effects of the powder.
I cannot tell you because I was not with the inmates back again. I was not in the same dormitory anymore. I was sleeping different. I was eating different. I was a worker in there, but we were not sleeping already 10 and 12 people together. I was sleeping one in a bed. I got one in a bed because I was a worker. I had a bed and I had a bunk for myself. And they treated I was a worker. I was working. I was putting out labor. I mean, it tore me apart, but I put out labor and I was a worker. And once in a while they gave us some food, but most of the time what I did and I ate is I baked potatoes in the ashes. And I used to take out the potato, clean it up and eat the potato. That was my meals. I mean, listen, I'm a pretty good potato eater. I mean, it's okay. I mean, and I start to eat not their food. And then after that, after I already knew, I cannot tell you the after effect every time. I watched them on and off. It has horrible after effects. That's all I can say. One word quits it because I was not living with them no more. I was in a different area, in a different place. And one side there was a kitchen, the other side was the sleeping quarter for the people. One time I was worked so hard that I took one of the things that we stirred the ashes. What do you call that thing? You stir the ashes, an ash turner, the fire turner, and burned my own knee. A little piece, and took a roll of toilet paper and rolled my arm, and I went and I slept for 24 hours. And when the German woman came, I opened up the little place that was burned and showed her. And then after 2 days later, they said, they're going to take the one that have been burned bad in another hospital. And I said, not me. Off came the toilet paper and I went back to work. But I was so tired, I just couldn't stand up anymore. I mean, it took a total on me, tremendously. And the worst part was that after the war ended, I couldn't have children right away. My children died each time. I couldn't carry them out. I buried 2 boys and a girl. That was the hurt of my life, losing my 3 kids after the war ended. And I got a little stronger. The female organs got a little stronger, and I was able more to carry out the 2 kids.
How much longer after the war were you able to carry out?
1957, I had a 7-month baby, Mark. And then met Gary, my second son, is alive and has 3 grandchildren. He was a 9-month turned baby, but I stayed in bed as soon as I went into the 4th month, I never walked anymore. I just stayed in bed the whole time. It was not easy because I didn't have any help. And so I just did it all by myself, staying in bed and taking care of the house. And it was not easy taking care of my son, the other son. And I paid the price of having life for itself.
Rosa, in closing, would you please share with the listeners some lessons that you have learned from your time working in the concentration camps as a result of all of that hard, tough time that you lived through in those concentration camps?
What I learned is be yourself. If you meant to get wealthy, you will become wealthy. By being greedy or ugly to other people, you won't succeed nothing. You only going to succeed to relax through life and let life take its course. And whatever will be, it'll take its time, but work at it for the best in a very nice way. That's what I learned. I learned to appreciate life. I enjoy life as much as I can. I like to do my own work, because as long as you are busy and you do your own work, you're happy. When you succeed by growing a plant even, I mean, I can go out and buy plants, but that's not my way. I take little cut-offs and make plants. Take a look in the front here. They're little cut-offs. Because I make them myself grow. I cannot grow a lot. I don't live in an area, but if I would live in an area where I could grow and have a garden, I would be the biggest gardener that I ever made. It's not as much, but I enjoy seeing things created. And I learned that that's what life is very important to what you can accomplish and what makes you happy. And by envying other people, you do not succeed. You only destroy yourself.
That's wonderful. Any closing comments that you'd like to pass along?
There are no comments. I would like sometime things come in your head, but you don't have nothing to write them down, and so usually I call them. I used to go up on the sun deck. It's my favorite place. Well, I don't go lately, but when it's nice and cool, I used to go out on the sun deck and dream all kind of dreams. But always I used to say, now you finished dreaming, melt away like sand. It's just dreams for me. Have never been written. Unwritten words. They are always call them unwritten words, because I am a big dreamer in my own way. My life has been always hope for tomorrow.
Not to give up.
That's it. That's all I can say. There's nothing else I can say. Pass on to the world. I wish I could. I like to pass on things. I don't know how. I wish I could. I wish everybody has to find their own way. And everybody, there's a little extra. Just look for it, and you will find it.
Thanks for listening to Straight Talk with your host, Patti Foster. Patti is a motivational speaker, writer, musician, and has an amazing testimony of God's faithfulness. For more information, log on to www.pattifoster.com.